Alright, so here's my second vlog for the year. This is another tournament report. So it is the day before a tournament I'm going to tomorrow at Out of the Box here in Ottawa, which is a gaming store. Of course, I'm going to be bringing the Brave and the Bold, because I always do, and they're my favorite. Yeah, so it's I was lucky enough to pick up the new Gordon basically when he got to Ottawa. And I'll be fielding everyone out of it. So Gordon, Sierra, Foxtrot, and Larita here at the back. Not as gun heavy as I usually go, although Constantine has a lot of good ranged attacks. Gordon has some pretty crazy range attacks with his air support, and of course I'll be taking the heliport. Larita looks like he's a pretty good replacement for Alpha, and of course I have QRT with her pretty sweet sniper rifle. For upgrades, I took a whistle on QRT and the heliport for Gordon, which basically should just be included in his cost, because if you're not taking it with him, then what are you doing? The crew altogether comes in at 348 reputation and 1500 funding. So basically my game plan is how it usually is for most of my games, and that's just shoot everything and take them all down. I'll probably be taking the Brave and the Bold strategy, where people with arrest can do it with just a special. So I'll have guys like Fat Cop and maybe O'Connell running in and arresting anyone who just gets knocked out. For the most part, I play aggressively with like these sort of gunline crews, and I'm considering Constantine and Gordon as gun characters as well for this. I don't know how well I'm gonna like appreciate maybe Foxtrot. I kind of would rather Delta, to be honest, because at least Delta has a pistol and he's just as good, but we'll see how the flashbang goes. It might be interesting to use. Other than that, you know, my plan is usually the same every game, and that's just kill things. Hopefully I'll probably run how do I explain this? So usually I don't rush up the board with like these types of crews. I kind of move up a bit and then sort of take position and let my opponents come to me, and then just shoot them, and then maybe have guys like O'Connell and the new Sierra guy use their tasers as like a close combat thing. I don't know if I'm gonna miss low, because my original plan with like the sort of melee guys like O'Connell, and I didn't have Sierra before, but even with him, I double buff them. So I do Commissioner Loeb's ability called Kill Them, which gives a free attack counter, and it can take them above their max, and then it Inspire as well. So like even O'Connell with attack 3, he'd go up to attack 5, which is a lot of taser hits. So I don't know if I'm going to miss that, but I feel like Gordon's just ranged ability attacks are going to more than make up for that. You know, if I have to, I can send Gotham Policeman through a sewer and try to grab some objectives, or even Foxtrot with his shield, just sort of rush him up the board, and hopefully he'll stay safe long enough to get to some of my objectives if I have to. Although for the most part, objectives are like a secondary priority for me. Usually I play pretty aggressive and just try to kill stuff, and then hang back and try to prevent my opponent from scoring on their objectives. That's usually how my games go. Probably not the best way to play, because it doesn't always work out for me, but when it does, it's pretty sweet. So hopefully, you know, I do good tomorrow. Obviously you'll be finding out right away how I did, but at this point I'm not sure. I do know like a lot of the local guys are going, guys that have pretty nasty lists as well, so it'll be interesting to see how some of those fare, or at least how this list fares against them. Even, you know, I don't think I'm gonna ever cut Constantine unless they nerf magic, which they probably should, because even at that last tournament where I ran him, he's just a beast, being able to put out a lot of damage, and he's really hard to take down, especially like if the opponent gets in close. He has the charm ability, which makes him kind of tough to get hit from at least henchman level characters. I am kind of worried about Gordon's only having endurance 6. I kind of feel like I'm gonna screw up and he's gonna get dropped, but if I can keep him alive long enough to do a bunch of damage, then that's fine, I guess. And I gotta say, I do miss Loeb's funding a bit. I could have probably fit in more guns if I had that extra 300 funding, but unfortunately I don't. But I think this is a good compromise to that. I still have a lot of ranged attack, and then enough of a sort of like a close combat cleanup crew with these 3 guys. Even, I guess, Constantine a bit. He has those brass knuckles that he can use, so hopefully I'll do well, but I guess you'll find out in like 10 seconds. So we'll see ya tomorrow. Alright, so it's the day after the tournament. It was held at a local gaming store here in Ottawa called Out of the Box. We had 9 players in total, so pretty good turnout, I guess, for the Ottawa scene at the moment. There was 3 games, so my first match was against a local player who you've seen on the channel, I believe, Mr. Andrew. He was running a Gorilla Grodd crew with Enchantress, Grodd, a monkey, I think the one with the fists, and a few of the Black Gators. I'm sure there's something else that I don't remember. This one was kind of interesting because we both had magic. He had Enchantress and I had Constantine, so it was cool to see sort of those 2 go off on each other. Ended up winning this game 49-18. And I gotta say, part of that was due to Andrew just not rolling super well. I believe Enchantress failed a dodge against Foxtrot's flashbangs, which sort of left her out in the open for most of my crew to just focus fire on her and take her down. Grodd got really unlucky with some rolls and dodges early on in the game against Gordon's combination of air support and hidden sniper, which took him down pretty quickly. So yeah, just a series of bad events on Andrew's part led to that loss. I'll take it though. It was a good game overall. I forget the mission. It was out of the bat match. It's like, it was one with the smaller deployment zones and then 2 objective zones where you had to put all your stuff in, sort of spread out. And that also kind of proved a problem for Triple because he had like a smaller model count army. I think I have a picture of it, so I'll just superimpose that like right now. You'll see. So that was his crew. So I just had more models than he did to be able to like capitalize on taking 2 fronts, I guess. And yeah, so that game was tight. I thought it would have been a lot worse for me, but again, he had some unlucky rolls there that sort of helped me win. So in the next round, I went up against a local player named Will. He was running a Riddler crew. I believe I have a picture of that too, so if I do, it'll be superimposed here in a second. Yeah, this crew's disgusting. So it's Arkham Knight Riddler, I think all the bots. I think he has like 9 bots plus Johnny 6 and then Quell. And he took the equipment piece that allows him to have 8 riddle markers out at one time, and I believe if not first turn, then definitely second turn, he had them all out right away and was just scoring tons of points without even killing anything really. If I recall this game, I don't think he got like a single kill or knockout on me, but just because he had all those riddle markers out, and he's like 2 of his bots had the backlaw, so basically like they just spread out and there was riddle markers everywhere, and a lot of them were on top of buildings where my crew doesn't have any way to really get up there effectively. So it was a pretty hard match. Also, it didn't help that we were playing patrol, so that's corner deployment. So the best way that I could have fought this list was get in on him super close and try to get rid of riddle markers that were on the ground. Unfortunately, he had basically a turn to 2 turns of just me running across the board trying to get to his area and try to score points on my own. Now, I didn't do too bad considering that. So he won 47 and I had 34 victory points. So it was only a minor win for him, which I was kind of happy about. It's a lot better than I was expecting for sure. And most of my points came from just knocking out robots and then having like O'Connell or someone come in and arrest them. So I was getting points that way. Last turn, he sort of got a little bit aggressive with Quell, Riddler, and Johnny 6. He sort of moved them into my objective area, on like his deployment zone, and I was already had like my whole crew in there, scoring points and trying to clean up any bots that were around. And I was able to, I believe, arrest Quell and knock out Riddler last turn. So that scored me a bunch of points too at the end, and he probably would have been better off just like running them away once my crew got into that area, but I think he was trying to like deny me getting points, although in the end he probably would have came out ahead even if he didn't come after me, because he already had a fairly solid lead with just his riddle markers out, and by that time most of the faster bots are the ones that didn't sort of stay back to try to block me from getting to my objective zone. They were far enough away that even if I was taking riddle markers off, he would just be able to make them somewhere else and I would have had no chance. So yeah, it was a minor loss, whatever. And then last round I played against a local guy here named Ken. He had a pretty cool Brave and the Bold crew. It was led by TV Flash, and he had Kid Flash with him, and then a bunch of like cops and a SWAT guy, I believe. He had the QRTs, he had Bravo, yeah, he did have a SWAT guy, and then just like female cop. This one was pretty cool because I don't play against speedsters a lot. They haven't really caught on in at least our local metal, so it was cool to see them. They are pretty fast, although he didn't really use them aggressively. I guess he used them how I would probably use speedsters, and basically just like in 1 or 2 turns he was already on his objectives. I believe this one we played skirmish, so it was basically just a straight up like punch fest. Like I always go for like the kill, and then objectives are sort of like a secondary tactic of mine, but that's usually what bones me in the end. Most of my matches is I'm out for blood, and if my players aren't, or if my opponents aren't doing the same thing, like if they're not coming to me to fight, then I'm kind of like left running around, and that's sort of where I usually lose. So basically, yeah, like I think we only got to turn 4, and at that point I'd taken out most of his crew thanks to just like Constantine. Constantine did most of the work. Unfortunately, I sort of rushed Gordon out a little too far ahead of the rest of the crew because I had sort of split. So I put all my objectives in sort of one corner and sent my whole crew towards that. But I was getting a little greedy with Gordon's 2 abilities, and for Hidden Sniper to work I still need to see my opponent, or my target. So I sort of ran him away and left him alone for a bit, and he just sort of, he got shot by his QRT-3. Luckily I only took 1 hit. He was using the anti-tank shot. So he took 3 blood there, and then I believe Bravo ran up and hit him and knocked him out. So we had like 1 stun left. Because he did survive the game, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. He did survive the game in the end, but he was knocked out for like the 2 middle turns of it. So that kind of sucked, but again I got lucky with some movement stuff. Constantine came in and wrecked like 2 or 3 of his characters, and at the end of turn 4 all he had left were the 2 speedsters, I believe, and I had basically my whole crew. I think he'd killed like one guy, someone not important. Actually, no. Remembering better, yeah, no one died on my side yet. Just Commissioner Gordon was knocked out for a long time. So yeah, that was that. Again, I like this crew quite a bit. This was sort of like practice for when I go to Adepticon. I most likely bring in some sort of cop crew. I might make a few changes to this before then, because I wasn't too hot on how like Foxtrot performed. Like, he's cool, and I kind of like having the shield guy around, because if I was smarter I'd actually have ran him with Gordon, so to get some pings and stuff. But I don't know, I think I might cut him and maybe Gotham Policeman and try to fit in like the QRT guy with the riot gun. But yeah, mostly everything else worked out well. Like, I really love Larita. Being able to move and have that like double tap with his MG there is really nice, and it's good for me because I'm not really smart enough to plan out like shots in advance. So being able to still get a fairly decent amount of like damage potential out of him, even though I'm still moving, by not dropping his rate of fire to 1. Is really nice. Constantine I'm gonna keep because he's just fucking broke. Like, that guy's crazy. This is the first time I ran Gordon since he came out, and I gotta say, like, he's pretty amazing. Having the air support and the hidden sniper is just super solid on him. He's doing a ton of damage, and I think he was really trying to make or he was forcing my opponents to sort of figure out what to do. Like, there is only a small area in the board where hidden sniper can't hit in the center, so I think at least a few players, mostly triple, kind of felt he was forced to go into the center a bit, which is kind of the downfall of where Grod died. But other than that, you know, it was fun. This will probably be my last tournament before Adepticon, so it was good to have some practice. Hopefully I'll be able to get some more games in beforehand as well, and of course I'll bring those to you on the channel. So yeah, not much else to say about the tournament, how it went. It was great. It was super nice terrain. I'll put in some more pictures. Super nice terrain, so that's always, you know, fun to play on good boards at a tournament. So I've been to a couple where it was just kind of like 40k stuff that was repurposed for Batman. It's not the best, but you know, I brought a couple tables. Andrew and our buddy BJ brought some, so it was a really nice terrain setup. Jason Gabo, the guy who ran it, he brought a table too, although he was using his stuff to do DCU demos, but still really nice terrain. And yeah, with that, I guess I'll say thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have a few more videos up before the end of the month. Yes, it'll be March by the time you guys see this. By the end of the month, and then I'll be at Adepticon, whatever that is, I think the last week of March. Playing in the Batman tournament and then just taking things in there. I do have another battle report coming, probably next week. Don't quote me on that, I'm usually bad for these deadlines. And with that, you know, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We have an Instagram, all those links are down in the show notes below. If you like buying models but not paying full price, check out the Multi-Zone Gaming web store, which is linked below as well. We have a discount code. It gets you 15% off all Night Models and Games Workshop products. So with that, see ya hopefully next week, if not the week after, with a new video.